Hey, sports fans, it's world champion handicapper Mike North. Punch this number in your phone right now. If you're driving, pull over. 1-800-808-3419, 1-800-808-3419 for a free pick and info for the premier handicapping site in the country, VegasScoresAndOdds.com. It's the only site you'll ever need with expert handicappers like John Anthony, Denny Macklin, Tony Sacco, Ray Monahan, yours truly, and many more. Check out the homepage of VegasScoresAndOdds.com for a tote board with your buddy. Follow Vegas Scores and Odds on Twitter and dial up 1-800-808-3419. It's 1-800-808-3419, 1-800-808-3419, or go to VegasScoresAndOdds.com.
What follows is for news and entertainment purposes only. Any use of the forthcoming information in violation of any federal, state, or local law is prohibited. Mike North, you are on fire.
You know anybody else that good?
No.
No, they'll tell you they are. They may think they are, but we're documented every single week. The eye is on us.
That's
and I
right.
ain't talking about the eye of CBS, the public eye. The first feeling I got when I won a bet was elation. The worst feeling was when I lost a bet and I wanted to jump off a balcony.
Give me a quick betting tip.
Yeah, do win and don't lose, but usually it doesn't always work out that way. How many times you heard this? I'm going to Vegas. I go, how'd you do? Well, if I lost $4,000, but you go there to have fun. No, you go there to win. And that's what's wrong with people. They have the negative mentality in anything they do, including sports, before they even lay the bet down. So you got to be positive. Vegas Scores and Odds is the landing place that gave me an opportunity to handicap. They let me show what I could do, and there's packages, there's free picks. What does Vegas Scores and Odds do when you perform? They reward you, and they take care of you, and that's why we're ready to do this show.
The Vegas Scores and Odds Advantage with Mike North starts right now. That's right, Vegas Scores and Odds Advantage with Mike North starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia, Mike's wingman, and it is Wednesday, and that means Mike has 3 free picks for you, and he has been red hot with his freebies here on Vegas Scores and Odds Advantage, so stay tuned for that if you want to make some money. We've also got information on tons of NFL games to help you make better betting decisions this weekend, and we'll dive into the latest from Hallis Hall, including news that the Chicago Bears have 3 players making it to the Pro Bowl. We'll talk about those 3 players and the 3 alternates, and we'll talk about a lot more too. Let's welcome Mike in now. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Aldo. I hope everything's okay. Last week we had a little bit of a technical difficulty with our hookup between the station, Bears Barroom Network, and what I was doing back here at our studio. And today we're going to go through the computer to see until we figure out what the hell happened. I guess some gremlins climbed into one of the wirings, if you will. But I'm feeling good today, Aldo. In fact, at Vegas Scores and Odds right now, my friend, I am number 1, back to being number 1 the last 7 days, 10-5. I'm second in the NFL with a 3-4 record this week, so it's been tougher for the handicappers. College football, I'm 15-8. College basketball, second all time, 211-173. We got guys like John Anthony, Hollywood, Tony Sacco, Tim Donaghy, Dennis Macklin. All these guys are getting the job done, but I've been getting it consistently done all year. There's been different guys that have been hot at different times. I'm consistently in the top 4. So check us out. Follow us at VSAO Sports or at VegasScoresAndOdds.com. Got 3 games. I got one for tonight, which is hockey. Got a couple of bowl game picks coming up soon for us also. So it's going to be a great time. Last week, I went 2-1. I had Montreal Canadiens with a winner, 3-2. The over did not come in. That was 1-1. Then I had Navy and Navy just stopped to go 2-1. So I'm like 11-4 my last 4 weeks. I'm 27-19 overall at Bears Barroom. Had a winning week with the odds couple where we're 50-37. I went 1-2-1. I wanted that extra hook for the Carolina game. Vegas Scores and Odds is getting it done. I'm getting it done. You're getting it done. It's been a great relationship, and I want to wish everybody. I want to wish all the guys, Ronnie, Schmitty, Mo, all the guys at Vegas Scores and Odds, and all the other workers out there in Las Vegas. Very Merry Christmas from you and me and everybody at the Barroom, and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to you and BB, and a Happy New Year to you as well. Mike, I've got to ask you this question as we move into Week 16 of the NFL season. 2 more regular season games left, and then the wild playoffs begin. As a professional gambler, do you find that it's more difficult to find winning games to bet on towards the end of the season, or is it easier or harder at the beginning of the season? What's your advice?
It's harder at the end of the season because, like last week, for instance, I had the Lions. You know, I had a couple bad teams that just didn't get it done, and the system gives me some bad teams. And here's what you got to realize: are they giving you the bad teams because they think that it's going to win now? Is this system going to work? But it doesn't work if some of the players or if the team itself has packed it away. In other words, if they're not going to come out there and give 100% effort, then you're going to have some losing issues. Hopefully this week, and what I tend to do is trim off some of the fat, some of the low-hanging fruit, which is bad football teams, and go with, if there's something comparable, a better game. But if there isn't, I got to get stuck with those. Now, last week, I did have the one game that I did win and for the odds couple at 1-2-1. It was Dallas. Mm-hmm. They needed the game. They won it. That's what they did. But then what do I lose? I lose Detroit, you know? So I'm saying to myself, okay, they didn't need anything. They can't wait till the season's over. So it is tougher going down the stretch. But then I get hot in the playoffs. I get hot in college playoffs. My last 2 years on VSAO Sports, if you follow them, has been very hot when it comes to the playoffs in college football, or bowl games, so to speak, and also the playoffs in the NFL.
Well, you mentioned the Detroit Lions, and I want to touch on them before we get to the Bears, because it was announced today that 94-year-old owner of the team, Martha Ford, is going to stick with the general manager and the head coach, Matt Patricia. This after a very disappointing season. They expected the Lions to be a playoff contender, and instead they've been losing game after game after game. Last week, a 38-17 loser to the Tampa Bay Bucks. They've got a tough Broncos team at Denver this week, and then finish the season at home versus the Packers. Do you support the move by Martha Ford to support the former New England Patriots front office man who is now their GM, Bob Quinn, I believe his name is, and
right,
and the head coach, Matt Patricia?
Yeah, I do, and I'll tell you why. I don't think you can get a good read because we talked about this. They were competitive until Stafford went down. Mm-hmm. So you lose your quarterback, you go down. And that's just the way it is in this league right now. Now, I understand that, you know, Pittsburgh lost 3 quarterbacks, but Pittsburgh's got depth. This guy took over a mess. He gets one more shot. Now, how old is the woman that owns the team, Miss Ford?
She is 94 years old.
94 years old. Okay, she's going to give them to her 100th birthday, I believe, to get this thing straightened out. Because you know what? I mean, there comes a time when you got to stop. Now, I know there's people talking today that Jim Caldwell had a pretty good record with them. There's no doubt about it. Yep. That he got fired, and they're trying to put the finger on the minority thing. Like that has something to do with it. First of all, I get a kick out of people that think it has something to do with the minority thing when William Clay Ford's the guy that hired Jim Caldwell.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And he kept them around for a while, but they said, you know what, we're staying in mud. I understand Jim Caldwell's got that tag of being an interim coach, and there is an argument to be made that maybe they should have kept him. But the fact that people are using it, well, it's maybe because he's black. You could just tell in some of the undertones of some of the shows I've heard this morning. Well, how do you explain Marvin Lewis then?
Exactly.
Nobody brings that up.
Right.
Marvin Lewis was coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to go this. If you're going to say Jim Caldwell was fired because he was black, I'm going to say Marvin Lewis was kept because he was black. I mean, that's the same. That's the same nonsense. Anybody can have a rationale to why you decided to keep one guy over the other. I think Patricia's going to get it done. I thought he was on his way this year till the quarterback went down. But if he doesn't do it next year, then I think they got to start and look. But I think a couple years is too soon. I'll tell you a guy that was unfairly fired. That was black was Lovey. Was Lovey Smith. I mean, nobody taught. He was 10-6 his last year, wasn't he?
Last season, he was 10-6. Yeah,
he was 10-6.
Yeah,
and nobody said a word.
Right.
Nobody said a word. He was exiled, to Tampa. Okay, that didn't work out, but he lost his guy. I think he only was there a year or two, and then he was let go. That's a Super Bowl coach. Caldwell's been with Tony Dungy. Dungy coached 6 years. I think he could still be there if, or be coaching if he had wanted to, but TV dragged him out of the booth. So, I'm trying to stay away from the racial stuff because for every Jim Caldwell, you can bring up a Marvin Lewis or an Art Shell or somebody like that. And Art Shell had a good run. You know what? Look at Tomlin. 13 years he's been there. So, you know what? I just think that Caldwell had that stigma, to be honest with you, of being an interim coach, so to speak.
Alex Acevedo in the chat room says you are making good points, so he supports what you are saying. And frankly, I do too. We cannot immediately look at the racial picture when you're making determinations on job performance. And listen, Jim Caldwell over at Detroit, the fans were asking for his ouster because that team was dysfunctional, despite the fact that they were winning some football games. And I think he was there 4 seasons and they had 2 winning seasons. Despite that, that team was dysfunctional. They couldn't get a running game together. There were moments where because I followed the team very closely during his period because I was running the NFC North bar room, and there were times where he just failed to fire up the team, where he didn't engage with officials after they clearly made bad calls against his team and so forth. And so it was the fans that ousted Jim Caldwell. It was not necessarily the Lions ownership. So let's put that.
I don't hear anybody crawling for him to get a job. Right. I don't hear the TV people saying, "What about Jim Caldwell?" There's been other great guys. Dennis Green had opportunities as a African American coach. There's been a lot of guys been given opportunities. There's been some guys, quite frankly, that got opportunities I didn't think deserved them. But you know what? That's the same way it is with the old white boy network, too. So you just take what you can take. You look at it. But when I heard that Jim Caldwell today, it might be a racial thing, I just thought of Marvin Lewis. And I said, if you're going to play that game, I could play it, too. They kept him because he was black. All right? I mean, what sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense. But he was there 15, 16 years.
Yep, I'm with you. All right, speaking of deserving, let's talk about these Chicago Bears who were named to the Pro Bowl. I want your opinion on whether these guys deserve to be in it. Outside linebacker Khalil Mack, safety Eddie Jackson, and special teams player Cordero Patterson are the 3 guys that are on the starting squads. And they have 3 alternates: nose tackle Eddie Goldman, cornerback Kyle Fuller, and punt returner Tariq Cohen. Let's start one by one with Khalil Mack. You think he deserves the honor? This will be his 5th straight year, 2 now with the Chicago Bears and 3 with the Raiders.
No, and I'll tell you why. Because the expectations for Khalil Mack are better than anybody else has expectations for. I see where people are saying, well, he gets double and triple teamed. First of all, if you watched the game last week, there was a lot of times he was single teamed by a tackle. If you check the game, both on the left side and the right side. Now, that's being said, when you are double teamed, you got to overcome it. That's what makes you great. Now, is this the first year that Khalil Mack was double or triple teamed? No. He's been double and triple teamed since he broke into the league. And he was 2016 MVP, defensive MVP, where everybody tried to stop him. But J.J. Watt is double and triple teamed. Aaron Donald is double and triple teamed. I mean, you know what? All the linebackers that are worth a damn, that are dominant, are double and triple teamed. So I find that a whole bunch of nonsense. I'm the Pro Bowl. I'm so far past it. The last time I got excited about it, I was 15 years old. It's a joke. Mitch Trubisky was in the Pro Bowl last year. So, I mean, you know what? It's just like a waste of time to me. But if you're going to ask me, Khalil Mack did not live up to my standards. I wouldn't have put him in.
Yeah, well, you make a very good point. You know, why are we wasting time talking about the Pro Bowl?
Well, you know why, though? Because, look, people are into it. It's something to talk about. It's people being overlooked, you know. Look, if you want to ask me, if you ask me, those three guys or Allen Robinson, take one or the other, I'd tell them three to stay home. Robinson deserves to be in. And I was one of his biggest critics last year. Yeah. This year, I'm on the bandwagon. I'm Jingles and Wild Bill Hickok. I'm riding shotgun on the bandwagon. If anybody got screwed, it was Allen Robinson. I mean, I know Mike Evans is having a good year. I know Julio Jones is having a good year. This is where you know it's a popularity contest. But Evans is hurt, you know, and you know what? There's a couple guys on that team that I think, you know what, they're good. But Allen Robinson had just as good a season.
Yep. You're getting a lot of agreement in the chat room regarding that. Eddie Jackson, now his numbers pale in comparison to what he did last season, and he was a second string Pro Bowler last season, but he's named as a starter this season. I think it's a lot of it, you know, a lot of these Pro Bowl selections sometimes are kind of acknowledgement over what you did a year or two ago. Seems to me.
Oh, yeah, Elton, we're not stupid. You and I follow the Bears. I've been following the Bears like religiously. I mean, really, I had a Bear media guide in my hymnal when I went to church. I mean, I followed the Bears since I was a kid. This guy here, Eddie Jackson, does not deserve to be on the team this year. Straight up, he took a step back, just like Mark Carrier did when he was a rookie with 10 interceptions, and then he never approached that again. I saw that he was out of position plenty. The open field, the middle of the field was open quite frequently. Maybe it was because of the new defensive coordinator. Maybe he misses him, but there's no way that Eddie Jackson had a Pro Bowl or an All-Pro type year, but it is a popularity contest, and you're right. It's from last year, basically. What have you done for me lately, though?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he hasn't. Hopefully, he'll finish the season with a bang, and I'd love to see him get an interception and take it in for the touchdown, which what made him famous last season. He had 4 scores, I believe it was last season, and then the other guy.
Yeah, it seems like 4 scores in about 70 years ago. The last time something good happened. My God, you knew I was going there, didn't you?
Oh, honest Mike, yeah, there you go.
You know. Oh yeah, the beard's growing as we speak.
Cordero Patterson also. This one I truly support because this guy has been a special teams revelation, not only in returning kicks, but also as a gunner. He is just a physical sensation. I mean, a guy that's 6'2", 236 pounds, and is clocked at running over 22 miles an hour on a few plays this season. This guy is a force. He's played really well on special teams. I'm glad he got acknowledged, and I don't mind saying that I went over to NFL.com and I voted for Cordero Patterson 10 times. I didn't do all the votes for offense and defense, but he was the one player I really wanted to see in the game, and I went over and voted 10 times, and maybe I'm the one that put him over the top. So,
well, there's no doubt you might have, and I'll tell you this, I'm glad you put our votes in for the bar room. I have no gripe with him making it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, I didn't think they got him on the field enough this year. I thought that, you know, for a guy that makes a lot of noise when he's on other teams like New England, I thought that he should have had more of an opportunity. After watching Devin Hester and Gale Sayers, it's hard for me to get excited about the guy, but you know what? I'm happy for him, and that means that was a good signing by the Bears.
Yep, exactly. Hey, and one thing regarding Eddie Jackson, Lauren Cox, a friend of Bears Barroom, he tweeted this out. Let's compare Eddie Jackson's numbers to Adrian Amos. Eddie Jackson this year has 1 interception. Adrian Amos has 2. Eddie Jackson has 4 passes defended. Adrian Amos has 8. Eddie Jackson has 12 missed tackles this year. Amos has only 5. Eddie Jackson is allowing 11.5 yards per reception, Amos 10. And so if anyone deserves a safety shot at the Pro Bowl, I think it's Amos over Jackson. And I'm saying that only because I'm being honest, and Lauren Cox has the numbers to kind of back that up.
Yeah, but if we would have gotten rid of Eddie Jackson and kept Amos, we would have gotten everybody would have got the gallows ready.
That's for sure.
They would have moved that thing down. What's that monstrosity at Daily Center, the Picasso?
Yeah.
They would have moved that and put like a hangman's gallows up there, the hammering away. What are you doing? We're gonna hang the Bear front office. They got rid of Eddie Jackson.
Oh, there you go. One last point about the Pro Bowl, and last year there were 2 offensive linemen who made the Pro Bowl for the Bears. That's Charles Leno Jr. and Cody Whitehair. This year, those 2 guys have not played anywhere near the level that they played last year, anywhere near Pro Bowl level, and I think that's been a big part of the reason why the Bears have failed this season. Are you hopeful that Leno and Whitehair can bounce back and play like they did in 2018 in the future for the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, I think Whitehair, though, if he can snap the ball better, they moved him. Don't forget about that.
Yep.
But really, how much? I know that they sacked Trubisky and stuff, and I know we couldn't get the running game going. So, and the record is going to keep offensive linemen or defensive linemen. If you don't make the playoffs or you're having an underwhelming year as a team, your offensive line and defensive line sometimes take the hit as much as any one of the skill position players. So I think they can. Is there some depth that we need? Absolutely. I think the lack of depth on the offensive line, especially when Kyle Long went down or when Kyle Long was just let loose, hurt this team too. So I'm anxious for next year already, to be honest with you. And you know what? I hope they don't play any pertinent players. Like I said on Monday's show, and folks, if you missed it, I was as sharp as I've ever been, believe me, but today I'm sharper because I'm, quite frankly, reading up on this stuff. And when you start reading about the Chicago Bears, there's a couple things we're going to have to check out next year. Are they going to play their starters at the beginning of the season in the preseason? Is that the first thing they're going to do? And also, I think next year, what we got to do is we got to, for the draft, I think we have to draft some linemen. How many linemen in this draft do you think we should draft? Whatever you think, I'm going to go one more. If you think one, Aldo, I'll say 2. They can't have enough linemen both in the offense and on the defense.
Yeah, I think that we do a show called Draft on Tap here at Bears Ballroom Radio Network.
Good show.
Yeah, Danny Shimon is our chief scout, and he looks over.
I love Danny Shimon.
He is a hard-working guy. He pours over hours and hours and hours of tape, and he's got a family. This kid comes up to him and says, "Daddy, are you still watching that same guy do those same plays?" He goes, "Yeah, I got to study. He knows this stuff, and he says that there's an interesting class of offensive linemen, and Danny and I are going to be down at the Senior Bowl and take first-hand look at some of these offensive linemen and see if there is a match there for the Chicago Bears, because I agree with you that we need an infusion of talent, at the very least, some guys that can come in there and in the mid-rounds and compete for some positions. Now, there is some good news in that there are a couple of guys from Notre Dame, Alex Bars and Charles Mustafer, that could be promising players for the near future. And when I say the near future, I'm talking 2020. So we'll be keeping an eye on those players, but also some new blood as well.
That Mobile senior trip, that's got to be wild. How many guys go on that with you?
Well, right now we've got 3, and I'm hoping that we get more of what we call our Barfly fans from the network to come on down and spend the weekend and watch some.
What is Ronaldo Gandia doing Mobile? I guess the place got to be wide open. It's got to be fun, man. I mean, all the players are there. There's got to be a lot of people down there.
Yes, exactly, Mike. That is one of the great things about going down to the Senior Bowl is you have access to the players. You can take selfies with guys who are going to be future NFL stars. You get to talk to them. You get to shake hands with them. It's really a well-run event. Week-long practices that are open to the public, and then the game itself. It's a ton of fun. I recommend people. And it's airfare down there is cheap. The hotels are about $100 a night. It's a fun time. And what do I do down there for fun? I get massages. we move on.
Forget about it. But who you rooming with? Shimon's not giving you the massage.
No.
All right, just checking.
All right. I want to talk about, we're a few minutes away from getting your 3 free picks, but let's spend some time talking about this Bears-Kansas City Chiefs game, because right now, the last time I looked, Mike, the Bears were getting 5 points. I know some places have it at 4.5, some places at 5.5, and so forth, and the total is 45. And you know what's interesting is that the total has gone under in 4 consecutive Chiefs games and in 8 of the Bears' last 10 home games. This is a Sunday night game in what is going to be very cold weather. There's a chance of snow. Seems to me like the 45 points for the over-under is maybe an interesting bet to consider. What are your thoughts on the over-under situation for the Bears-Chiefs?
Well, first of all, Kansas City at 10-4, playing the Bears at 7-7. Kansas City has gone up to a -6 now. So, there's that argument that, okay, they're betting the Chiefs, but maybe the spread should have been -7 to begin with instead of starting out at -4. I found that the opening line, -4 for the Chiefs, sort of low for a team that's going to be basically still trying to win, and the Chicago Bears are going to keep some guys out. So you're not going to be at full strength. And this is one of those games I was talking about. If the system gives me the Bears eventually, I'll have to take it. But I'm going to be terrified because if you don't have Akeem Hicks playing, you don't have Trevathan out there, you don't have a lot of your first stringers out there. So now you're going to start to worry a little bit that you took a bogus game.
Right.
And that's something I got to worry about down the line. But I see the Chiefs right now. My first gut reaction is the Bears don't belong on the same field with the Chiefs. But you know what? This is an important game. I think the Bears would like to see Mitch do well. I think the best thing that could happen to Mitch Trubisky is for them to win this game against Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, you are absolutely right.
This.
Yep.
Think about this, folks. What have I been saying for 2 years? I haven't been bringing up Mahomes. I wasn't a big Mahomes guy. I'm a Watson guy. But what's better to shut anybody up than to go up against the guy that people said I wish would have been taken instead of Trubisky? So it's huge for Mitch. I think the Bears want to win this game badly. I think if you're a competitive player and you're not hurt and you don't want to play in this game, shame on you. See you later. I don't want nothing to do with you. This is a standard bearer. And I think when people say, don't mail this game in, I made the comment, hey, look, the preseason, we didn't play our players because we were afraid to be hurt. Now, are we going to play our players when it doesn't mean anything? But I got to believe Pace and Nagy going up against his old team, it means something, even though they're out of it. So I'm going to change my tune from what I said Monday when I made a joke about it. Why are we playing them now? It doesn't matter, just like preseason. And say, I hope we play our guys, because if we beat them, that's the kind of win that can perk you up during the offseason and make things more interesting.
I agree with you. I think that for the Bears, this could be called the Confidence Bowl. They beat this Chiefs team, and Trubisky has a good game against Mahomes in the national spotlight. That will do enormous benefits for this young quarterback who has fought with confidence issues since he's been a Chicago Bear. And here's what I'm worried about most of all is that during this Kansas City Chiefs 4-game winning streak, their defense has really stepped up. They are allowing just 11 points per game on average. They're turning the ball over. They are manufacturing pass rushes with exotic blitzes and so forth. And with this offensive line and with Mitch Trubisky's, sometimes, he gets rattled on the pass rush. He makes poor decisions, doesn't keep his eyes upfield. This could be one of those games if the Mahomes offensive machine gets going and Trubisky gets flustered by this Chiefs defense. This could be one of those national TV blowouts that the Bears have experienced. I've been following this team for 50 plus years, Mike, just like you, and we've seen some national TV disasters.
Oh, you know which one I remember?
Which one?
Man, it was Monday Night Football in the 70s, I think.
The Chargers.
Yeah. Pastorini was quarterback in the Oilers.
Yes.
We lost like 47-0.
Yes.
If somebody on the barroom can look up, please, I just had a sharp pain when I brought that up. It was 47-0. I want to say the Houston Oilers in like 78. That was, humiliating. The Bears used to crap the bed on Monday Night Football or on Thanksgiving.
Oh, my goodness.
All the time. But the 47, there was a Chargers one. We got our butts kicked on Monday Night Football. How about this? You want to know how old I really am, folks? I remember the Bears losing, getting their ass kicked by the Bengals, for God's sake, on Monday Night Football, I think it was. So, I go way back. But, yeah, the 47-0 game, I believe, is the game I'll never forget. I think Earl Campbell was in the backfield, and Pastorini looked like Joe Namath. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
it might have been earlier. I don't know.
I am looking for it now. I'll try to keep looking at through the show, and maybe I'll have it.
Wait, let me ask the black box.
The black box.
Hold on.
All right.
When did the Bears get their asses kicked 47-0 to the Houston Oilers?
The black box will respond to that.
Oh, my God, I got it. I can't believe I remembered. Chicago Bears at Houston Oilers, November 6th, 1977. Okay?
Oh, my goodness.
Billy White Shoes Johnson, kickoff return, 75 yards. Greg Bingham, 34-yard defensive fumble. Ken Burrows, 43-yard pass from Dan Pastorini. Ken Burrows, 85-yard pass from Dan Pastorini. And remember, this is one of your guys, I think. 39-yard field goal, 29-yard field goal by Tony Fritsch. Remember that guy?
That's right.
47-0. It's with me forever. I wake up in the middle of the night yelling, 47-0. It was humiliating. 1977. That was supposed to be a bright year for me. That was the year I was going to get married. Did I get married? I hadn't been. Oh, yeah. I'd been married already. I'd been married 1 month, and then the Bears lose 47-0. Wow.
Mike remembers the game better than his wedding day.
I don't remember my damn anniversary when I got married. No, of course I do. October 1st, 1977. But I'm going to tell you this. I remember November 6th, 1977. Like, you know what? It was right afterwards, you know what I mean?
Yes, I hear you. Props to Zach Sullivan. He came through in the chat room. He had the same day, and he has confirmed everything that you said. So, So I am afraid about a Monday night or Sunday night blowout here on national TV. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully Trubisky plays well in comparison to Patrick Mahomes, and hopefully this team comes away with a win and a boost in confidence so that we can feel good about the 2020 upcoming season. But I'm telling you, man. I remember a game against the Chargers, the Bears and the Chargers, and John Jefferson, who was playing for the Chargers at the time, just eating the Bears up on Monday Night Football.
John Jefferson, he had the goggles.
Yes, exactly.
The wristbands. I go, this guy's going to kill us.
Exactly.
This guy's going to, and that's what he did. Here, I got one for you. I'm in 8th grade. There was a Thursday night. I don't know what it was. It was a special. It was Halloween night. We had a boy-girl party.
Nice.
At one of the girls' houses. It was back when the hormones were rolling, you know. I'll catch the Bear game. I'll watch it. Don't worry. At her house. We had the Bear game on. It was the St. Louis Cardinals. Larry Wilson had a broken hand.
Number 8.
Yes. He intercepted 3 passes with a broken hand. Let me check this out. Hold on. I'm going to talk into the black box again, okay?
Okay.
Tell me. I wake up with this stuff in my head. That's what's dangerous about a guy like me walking the streets. Hold on. St. Louis Cardinals, Chicago Bears, Halloween night. Cardinals kicked the crap out of them.
That is hilarious.
Okay. Let's see what I got here. No, wait a minute. St. Louis Cardinals beat the Bears Halloween night. What year?
St. Louis. We got
1966.
Holy cow.
Hold on for a minute. Hold on. 1966. They got the highlights. They got everything on here.
Oh, my goodness.
That's all I'm going to tell you. Halloween they got the Halloween monsoon game. Remember that one?
Yes. Oh, a sad game. Sad game.
And then they got the Larry Wilson 3 interception game. Give me a break. I've been through so much. As Bear fans, has any team besides the Raider fans Well, there's a few teams. There's some teams. There's 8 teams that haven't even won a Super Bowl yet.
Yeah, exactly.
At least we got that. But if you want to, I could tell you 15 horror stories about bad Bear games.
Yep.
The only Bear game I really care about that we won was the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
But I can tell you, well, I love when they win.
Sure.
But you know what? I can handpick the tragedy Bear games easier than the Bear wins. All I have to do is say 1985. They won almost every game. That was my favorite year, and let's move on. But throughout the years, there's been nothing but tragedy and heartache and bad football, just like we saw this past weekend.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, we should have won that damn game, and you know what? We just didn't get it done.
Just did not get it done, and that seems to be the theme for the at least the second half of the 100 years of the Chicago Bears, just not getting it done. All right, but we do have to get something done here, and you know what it is, Mike. It starts like this.
Oh, yeah!
Oh, yes.
27-19, ladies and gentlemen. Go to VegasScoresAndOdds.com. Oh, yeah. I got games up tonight. I got a basketball game, NCAA basketball, Cincinnati versus Tennessee up there at VegasScoresAndOdds.com. Go on out there and check it out, okay? But right now, you get something you don't normally get anywhere. You get not only documentation, and we tell you what I do, and then I have Accountability Tuesday, and then I come out with what I did, but I also give you free picks. So let's start with tonight. Right now, let me just get an up-to-date stat on this if I can, because you know what? I think it's important because this game is a hockey game, ladies and gentlemen. And you're going, Mike, hockey. Let me tell you something. I'm good at hockey.
That's right.
I don't know 3 players on any team except the Blackhawks, and I'm starting to lose sight of those guys, to be honest with you. Because the Blackhawks really, you know what? You want to talk, about 5 years ago, the Chicago Blackhawks were as popular as any team in the history of Chicago, and now they are absolutely gone. They're finished, finite, if you will. So you know what? That's just the way it goes, but that doesn't mean we're going to stop with our hockey games. First of all, the New Jersey Devils is going to be an over 6.5 against, let me just see who they're playing tonight, because I'm disorganized here for some reason. Where is my hockey? Where is my hockey? Oh, did I not pick the right one? Let's see what I got here. Let's start this over.
Okay.
No, don't start it over. I'm just kidding.
Anaheim. It's Anaheim at New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, 6.5. You got it for me?
Yep, I got it for you.
Yeah, you know what? I screwed it up, but the NHL tonight, the New Jersey Devils over. It is 6.5. Over 6.5. Now, Aldo, when we were kids, could you ever envision a hockey game having 6-7 goals on a regular basis? They talk about the NBA losing, not playing defense. Check out the over-unders in hockey sometimes. I mean, man, there's 7-3 games now. There's 6-3 games. This is an over game tonight for me at 6.5. So take the New Jersey Devils over 6.5 tonight in the National Hockey League, ladies and gentlemen. So, Aldo, thank you for getting me through that. Now I got,
you got it.
Friday. I got a bowl game for everybody.
Ooh, nice.
Mike, thank you so much. A bowl game. And Aldo's going, you mean there's bowl games already?
Yes.
Friday starts it. I have, first of all, VegasScoresAndOdds.com. I got Kent State at Utah State on the website already. But for the Bear Barroom people, I have Buffalo versus Charlotte. Buffalo is minus 6.5. Now, it's the world-famous Bahamas Bowl, okay? Where you go to a game, have a good time, maybe stop at a local pub, get stoned, because I guess that's all they do at that place, from what I understand.
Yes. Well, that's what you go down there for.
I mean, if you go down there and you can't score any grass, but you could have scored some in the South Loop. You had a failing trip, okay? So you got Buffalo minus 6.5 against Charlotte, okay? Take Buffalo minus the 6.5. And also in that game, the over-under is 51.5. Take the under, 51.5. So we have tonight, you have the New Jersey Devils over, and then Friday you have Buffalo under and Buffalo. as far as the game is concerned in NCAA football. Aldo, back to you, my friend.
You got it. You heard it here, the 3 freebies, and Mike is handing out winners. If you look back over the last 5 shows, I mean, we're talking winning weeks every show over the last 5 shows. So, and you need to get over
You're like Teddy Bruschi. You don't know what it's like to lose when you're on the Patriots.
That's right.
I mean, seriously, you're like, you know who you're like? Brad Sellers. You're going, we never lose.
That's right.
Oh, wait, hold on. You deserve better than Brad
Sellers.
Thank you. You're Scotty. I'm Michael. You just go, hey, every week, every year, every day, we win.
I thought you were going to say guys like, John Sally, who just came to the Bulls, just to win another championship.
Well, you hurt my feelings the other day. Maybe that's why I lashed out with the Brad Sellers. Because
Did I? What did I do?
Don't you like the way I lash out at you by naming like insignificant basketball players from the 1980s?
That's right.
I said to you the other day, I go to tweet out something, and I go, God, man. I go, what happened to Aldo? So then I go Aldo. I go on the black box. I go Aldo Gandia Twitter, or I hit Bears Barroom and I hit Aldo. There's nothing there. It's blocked. I wouldn't block Aldo. So then I go to Aldo. This is the best. And Aldo doesn't even realize he did it. But it sort of was like, you remember Custer when he got the first arrow?
Yes. Yeah, I heard.
That's when he shot off 2 more rounds. Like that was going to make a difference once the first arrow came in. I'm going to shoot 2 more shots at about 1,000 Indians, and I'm going to get you real good. But seriously, when you stop and think about it, Aldo, when you stop and think about it, I said, Aldo, I would never block you. I would never block you. I would, basically, I don't know how it happened. And you go, you know what? Sometimes Twitter's funny like that. You're trying to be polite. I go, but I would never block you. And you go, well, I didn't notice anyway. Well, thanks a lot. Wow. B goes, what's the matter? I go, I didn't even tell her what it was about. I go, Aldo didn't notice. I walked in the bedroom and shut the door. Didn't come out for 10 minutes, but then I was thirsty.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
No, but I'll tell you what. Just go with these picks, folks. Go with them. Get it done tonight. We're on a rampage, right, Elds?
That's correct. And make sure you order over to VegasScoresAndOdds.com for all sorts of great information and pricing so that you can win every week religiously. That's the way to do it with the Mike North over at VegasScoresAndOdds.com. And do you have that phone number handy where they could get that other free pick? I got 1-800.
Of course I got it handy. Are you kidding me?
Look at this guy.
These guys are number one when it comes to getting it done. When it comes to getting things done at Vegas Scores and Odds, it is the free pick line, ladies and gentlemen. What you got to do is just go to Vegas Scores and Odds. Now, if you don't have the pick number handy, just go to VegasScoresAndOdds.com.
Right.
It's 1-866-504-2201.
There you go. Now, before we move on and touch on just a handful of the other NFL games, I got a question in the chat room from Merv, who is a religious listener to the show. He's here for every one of the live shows. He wants to ask you that since you're like the Bear historian, you've talked about how the Chicago Bears should hire you to be their historian. Merv wants to know how you compare Mitch Trubisky to all of these other quarterbacks that you've seen over the decades. And we've had some really bad ones and not too many good ones. Where do you kind of put Mitch, and is there maybe perhaps a quarterback from Bears history that you might compare him to?
He's an arrow pointing up. Not yet ready to give him the full debate. He was, like I said last year, on the Pro Bowl, which means some people cancel, but that's beside the point.
Right.
But as the unofficial Bear historian, because they'll never name me the historian,
No.
I asked for too much money and I want too much power. I think Harbaugh was better than him. McMahon was better than him. For a season only, Eric Kramer was better than him.
Oh, he put up numbers, Eric Kramer.
For 1 year, though.
Yeah.
But I think before then, I thought that Mitch Trubisky was every bit as good as Eric Kramer.
Right.
You know, Eric Kramer had that 1 year. Rudy Bukic had a big year in 1965 when he was the number one passer in football.
Right.
So Bukic had 1 year. Kramer had 1 year. Harbaugh had a handful of years. Luckman is the stud. McMahon is the winner. I think after that, You could put Mitch in.
Okay.
That's how bad it is. That's how long it's been. I mean, I can't. What am I going to do? Put Shane Matthews ahead of him? Am I going to put? What am I going to put? Steve Walsh, Moses Marino? Am I going to put Cade McCown? Am I going to put Josh McCown, who I love? I put Cutler. Eventually, I think Mitch could do as much as Cutler did. Mm-hmm. Mitch has already done almost as much as Cutler because he got us to the playoffs in his second season.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think a handful of Bear quarterbacks, but that's like me being the valedictorian of my summer school class. You know, there's not a whole lot of guys to choose from. You know what I mean? All the dummies go to summer school like me, you know, and all the studs, you know, they're out playing baseball.
That's hilarious.
Just saying. The Bears don't have a history. Look, the harder comparison is middle linebacker. You know, from Wayman Bryant to Tom Hicks to Mike Singletary. Bryant played on the outside, but he played a lot on the inside too. They moved him back and forth. To Dick Butkus, to Brian Urlacher, to Bill George. The linebacker picking is tougher than the quarterback picking. Really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome. Yeah. Welcome in. Yeah. Got some tobacco cotton.
I was reading Merv's follow-up to that. He said, he says, I'm just thinking we had to deal with Rex Grossman and Chad Haney in the playoffs. I'm hoping that Trubisky will be better than any one of those guys were in the postseason.
Rex Grossman, listen to this. I'd like to get a hold of him. I heard he's put on a little weight.
Yes, he has. He's a vice president somewhere.
Rex Grossman donated his football pants to my radiothon. I used to do 18 hours of radio straight with different guests.
That's right.
For about 4 or 5 years. I thought they were a child's football pants. You know? He was so tiny. But if you walk into any bar in America and say, I will produce you a player within 1 minute that went to the Super Bowl, and if I don't, I owe you $1,000. If I do, you owe me $100. I'd have Rex Grossman sitting right there, and nobody would ever think it was him.
Wow, how about that? Isn't that wild?
Nobody ever. Look, all the Bear quarterbacks. You got your Luckmans. You got your Billy Wades, who was a good quarterback. You got your McMahons. Okay, and then you got Grossman. Mm-hmm. That went to a big ball game. I mean, think about that. That's unbelievable. Rex Grossman played in pertinent games that Gale Sayers and Dick Butkus never got to play in.
Unbelievable.
Just saying.
Unbelievable. That is wild. All right, I want to touch on some quick NFL games, just a handful of them.
Sure.
The Detroit Lions at Denver Broncos. We talked about the Lions and that the top guys over there have gotten a vote of confidence from Martha Ford. Now, the Lions are getting 6.5 points. The game is in Denver. The Lions have gone 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 games and are 0-7 straight up in their last 7. One of the reasons I'm intrigued by this game is because the over-under is set at 38. And the two young quarterbacks, Drew Lock and David Blau, they played each other in a college game in September that I don't have the score here in front of me, but the numbers were astronomical. Blau was 39 out of 55 for passing and had and threw for 3 touchdowns and ran for another. Drew Lock was 26 of 43, threw for 3 touchdowns. With this over-under at 38, who knows? I mean, maybe these guys can resurrect that old college spirit and go out there and toss the ball and score some points. You got any thoughts?
Oh yeah, I got that old college spirit. I wanted to send Drew Block or Drew Blow or Drew Blau in a plane back to his old college to play at, because you know what? I never want to see him again. Okay, I had him last week. Enough of the Drew Blau. I couldn't believe it, or whatever the hell the kid's name is. I go, I'm betting on a quarterback who I didn't even think existed as a person. Forget about him as a quarterback. I'm betting on a quarterback I never heard of until 2 weeks ago. And he gave the Bears all they could handle, which, you know, when you think about it, think about that. I watched him last week. He was absolutely pathetic.
He was awful.
And yet he gave the Bears everything they could handle.
Isn't that Oh, look at Alex came through as Missouri 40, Purdue 37. So you're not anticipating any numbers like that in this Lions Broncos game, are you?
You know what? I mean, God bless Purdue and God bless their quarterbacks from Drew Brees to Mike Phipps. I mean, they've had Scott Campbell, Jim Everett.
Yeah.
They've had Mike Phipps, who was a Bear. I loved Mike Phipps.
Yeah,
that's another Bear quarterback that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
We got him, I think, from Cleveland at the time.
You're right. Yeah.
But I got to tell you something. I stay away from this game. You know what? Like I tell other people, there's other games on the board. I don't have any read on this game, but I see that the Broncos are 7 against Detroit. If I was just going to go off the reaction of my first reaction of it, I'd probably take Denver. I mean, Detroit's a mess, man.
Yeah.
They really, really are.
Yeah, they got no running game whatsoever, which is why Blau is having a hard time at the quarterback position because they don't respect the run. They're just going right after the quarterback. And so that's a huge problem. Again, the last number I saw was the Broncos -6.5. That might be
up to 7. It's up to 7.
Wow, there you go. So you know where the money's going. Okay,
well, Broncos are 5-9, and then they got the Lions at 3-10-1. I mean, really, it's the vomit in the mouth bowl. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Well, and Mike, a question for you regarding the announcement with Martha Ford with the vote of confidence for the coach and so forth. Do you think that could possibly fire up these Lions and they go out and win the game for the coach, or they probably won't even show up and make the matters even worse for Matt Patricia?
No, because matters worse aren't going to happen to Matt Patricia. He's been given the job back. The guys that don't have jobs are Detroit. So those are the guys. These guys, look, one thing you got to know is when you're a professional football player, you're on the clock.
Yep.
Every game.
That's right. So
you better impress, because don't think Matt Patricia doesn't know who let him down this year. Don't forget he knows who helped him this year. I remember, I mean, they were 2-3 at one point of the season. Right. And then Stafford went down. Now they're 5-9. So I'm going to blame the quarterback going down. But you know what? You got to have better planning. And you know what? Once again, how many quarterbacks were injured this year? And interest in the league did not wane. Everybody thinks the quarterback, you got to have the big name quarterbacks in. Yeah. Believe me when I tell you this, folks. The Pittsburgh Steelers fans, you know what? They've gone through 3-4 quarterbacks. They're sold out every game.
Yep, they are. And this third stringer, Doug Hodges, he's gone in there and captured the imagination of players. Gardner Minshew with Jacksonville. These second and third string quarterbacks that you never heard of them until recently. They come in and they play entertaining football. I mean, the rules are kind of set up for these no-name quarterbacks to go out there and play well. So that's one thing that the NFL has engineered with the passing game. Hey,
look what they've done to Drew Brees. I mean, they've made a 6-foot quarterback, a guy that broke all the records. When anybody that knows anything about football knows this for a fact. Mm-hmm. And I hear people talk about this, and I brought it out on Twitter today. You cannot compare him to the Marinos. You can't compare him to the Unitises. You can't compare him to the Tarkentons. You can't compare him to the Rodgers. You can't compare him to the Bradys. No, he played his games indoors. You cannot do that. It's impossible. Can you imagine a lot of these other quarterbacks? Gale Sayers told me this, Mike. If I left my South Side home when I was playing for the Bears in zero weather, and I knew I was going to play indoors in Chicago on a carpet, I would have records that would be unapproachable now. That's what he told me. That's how big a difference and a big a deal it is to play indoors compared to outdoors. So I can't put Brees, I put him in the top 10, but if he would have played for the New York Giants, or if he would have played for the Bears, or if he would have played for the Baltimore Ravens, look what this Jackson kid does in rain, in sleet. Let's see these indoor quarterbacks do that. It's sort of funny. Peyton Manning, you know when Peyton Manning lost it? He lost it way early when he couldn't win games outdoors against New England and in inclement weather. But when he'd go indoors, he was perfect. Yeah. That's because you can't play half your games indoors and be called the best quarterback of all time.
I'm with you. I'm with you there. I think another perfect example of that is Kirk Cousins with the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, he benefits from playing at that indoor facility, First Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. And then when he's not playing in a cold weather like he did last year against the Chicago Bears on a Monday night game at Soldier Field, boy, he looked like a deer caught in the headlights.
Absolutely. I mean, the nonsense that I've been hearing about Drew Brees, I'm glad he broke the touchdown record, but that's not impressive to me anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, throw 47. It took him 30, 40 years to break Johnny Unitas' single-season touchdown record, but Johnny Unitas did it in 10-degree weather.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, with wind blowing in his face and getting mangled every time. There was no, okay, you hit the quarterback in the head, let it go. You just can't compare it. It's been set up. Most of the records, look who holds the records for most receptions. You got Marvin Harrison, okay? 144 catches because he played indoors.
Right.
Half his games. And guess who's second?
Michael Thomas.
And by the way, I love him, by the way.
Yeah.
Mike Thomas is a player.
Yes, he is.
No doubt about it. But if Mike Thomas played his games in Green Bay, okay, or if Drew Brees played outdoors in windy conditions, there's no way those passes are the way they were last night and waiting for Michael Thomas.
You have
nothing to worry about indoors.
I am with you all the way. Dallas Cowboys at Philadelphia Eagles. This is an intriguing matchup, and I guess the gamblers here are going to be keeping a close eye on the Dak Prescott situation. He did not practice today. He's got a banged-up right shoulder to go along with an injured index finger that happened to him in the first half of the Rams game. We are going to be taking a close look. The Eagles right now, the last time I looked, they are getting 2.5 points.
Right.
If Prescott doesn't play, Mike, and we probably won't know until that dreaded game time announcement 90 minutes before the game. What do you think happens to that line?
Well, first of all, I want to bring this up. And by the way, this has something to do with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions were fined quite a lot of money for not announcing, and there was a game that Matthew Stafford was supposed to play in, and they didn't announce until right before game time that he wasn't going to play. That was against the rules. The NFL doesn't want to say it screwed up the gamblers, but it did.
Exactly.
Vegas complained and stuff like that. So the
same thing
goes for this.
Yeah, that was the Bears game on Thanksgiving. That's when the incident happened. Yeah,
absolutely. And now, so I'm going to go with this. If he doesn't play, I don't care what he has to do. If he's got to shoot himself up, this is the biggest game of his career. This could determine whether he makes the big money, or he doesn't. Because I said he's a $25 million quarterback. Okay, that's a lot of money, but he's not a $40 million quarterback. They're playing an Eagles team at Philadelphia. Right. In the Super Bowl year, you would have never seen Dallas favored at Philadelphia when Philadelphia went to the Super Bowl. Right. I think off first blush, I like Dallas at 2.5. And that's considering the injury. Right. They know he's injured, and they're already putting in 2.5. So if Dak Prescott doesn't play, I think he's going to cost himself money. If he plays and plays well, I think he's going to make himself some money. You got to be a big game player, and you got to be there when it's time. I think he'll go out there and play hurt. He'd probably sit if the game meant nothing. This game means everything. Everything to them.
Here's an interesting fact. The Cowboys are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games at Philadelphia. And again, you've taught me this. That doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot because 7 games ago, who was playing and who was injured.
And what happens if Prescott doesn't play?
Exactly. But what is interesting about that, from my vantage point, is that here's a Texas team going to Philadelphia, and probably most of those games were cold weather weather situation, and they've done well against the spread. So something to think about if you are considering wagering on that game. Another game I want to touch on is this Houston Texans at Tampa Bay Bucks game. The Bucks are getting 3 points. These Bucks are putting up tremendous points, Mike. I was looking at their last 4 wins. They're putting up 38, 32, 28, 31. They have been scoring points behind a Jameis Winston who, he throws a lot of interceptions, but he also throws a lot of touchdown passes. But the big news is that Mike Evans, his number 1 wide receiver, has been put on injured reserve, and there is speculation that Chris Godwin, his other wide receiver, will also be put on IR either this week or next. He's doubtful to play. Doubtful, that's not an official NFL term. I'm just saying, in my opinion, he's doubtful to play. So that's going to be an interesting match. It's at Tampa Bay. The Texans need to win because they're fighting for playoff seeding. Any thoughts about this game and whether the Bucks, should even be considered a bet here, getting 3 points with these 2 wide receivers out?
Let me tell you something. There's always this time where I'll be walking down the street and I get a tap on my shoulder. I turn around. It's Eldo. He goes, listen, I saw you walking down the street. I just wanted to let you know, is there any interesting tidbits you can do on the next show? I got to get going now. I'll see you later. And he jumps in the car and he drives off. I don't understand it. So now I got one. You know that in his 5th year, Jameis Winston, there's only 4 quarterbacks that have thrown more touchdowns than Jameis Winston in the history of the game. Wow. Dan Marino, they were naming some guys the other day. Dan Marino's one of them. I think Fouts was another. Andrew Luck. And this guy. But nobody has turned the ball over more than this guy, except for second since 2015, the most overrated quarterback in history, Phillip Rivers. Okay? So Jameis Winston is trying to secure a spot, which he might have done last week. Maybe Bruce Arians told him, okay, you'll be back next year. But I don't think they can win with this kid. But the more he throws touchdowns and has better games than like he did last week, the better chance it is. So I got to believe he's distressed that 2 of the receivers, both going to play in the Pro Bowl. They're the ones that cost Allen Robinson his position. That's why I think Robinson may still end up playing, because Evans isn't going to play. Maybe they're going to put some subs in and stuff like that. But this is an important game for Tampa Bay. Huge game for Houston. But you know what? When's he going to have a bad stinker? Because Winston's been on a roll. And when does he have a bad stinker? When he's being pressured. And who can pressure the quarterback, even though J.J. Watt may come back and Clowney's dinged up and what have you? It's Houston. So it's going to be an interesting game. I haven't charted it yet. But Houston's 9-5. Tampa Bay's on the upswing, but off first blush, I'd have to take Houston.
Yeah, I'm leaning with you there.
This is without notes, Aldo. I want everybody out there to know this. And so was about a half an hour ago when I didn't know what my name was when I was looking for something. But you know what? One off balances the other. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Yeah.
Another game that I find very intriguing is this Buffalo Bills at New England Patriots. Last time I looked, the Patriots are giving 6.5 points. These two teams, they met earlier this season, and the Patriots couldn't muster up any offense whatsoever, but they did win the game 16-10, and it was on a touchdown pass. If I remember correct, I think it was Julian Edelman that threw the touchdown pass because Brady could not get anything going. And so typically when that happens, Belichick goes to the trick plays. It was enough to beat a strong Buffalo team whose defense is playing outstanding. This is a huge, huge game. Buffalo has won some big road games to get to the playoffs because they've already clinched the spot. The money line has Buffalo at plus 240, New England at minus 280. Any preliminary thoughts on this game?
You know what? Tom Brady, he doesn't care. He's never been to a Pro Bowl. I don't think he's been elected to a million of them. I think that last Pro Bowl he went to was 2006. He didn't make the Pro Bowl this time. But that doesn't seem to bother him. It's sort of funny when you're like 11-2 or whatever your record is, and your quarterback doesn't make the Pro Bowl. But that's how you know what? He hasn't thrown for a lot of yards. He lost Gronkowski. Yep. Edelman's got a bad shoulder and a bad knee right now. I mean, they're limping to the finish line. I mean, they really are. But once the playoffs start, it's a whole new season.
Yep.
Buffalo should come in and give a good accounting of themselves, but that line is -6.5.
That's a lot, don't you think?
Yes. Why? If I've been hearing debacle for New England. It's a debacle. Debacles don't give another team 6.5 points. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
So, and by the way, I'm going to just say this. New England feasts off other teams' mistakes. For instance, last week, wait, I'm going to throw up. Where's the bucket? I had to take the Bengals. Hold on.
The life of a gambler.
Oh, God. Okay. Let me just flush down the rest. Oh, God. Let me tell you something. They were right in the game. And then there's a kickoff with 1:35 left, the punt in the half. I'm getting 10 points. It's tied. The punt returner, just let it go. No, he fields it and fumbles. New England gets the ball and kicks a field goal. And from that point on, they went off. So it's based on other people's mistakes. Don't forget about New England's defense, folks. They're winning all these games because of their defense. I think they win this football game. I'm not going to give a pick out here. Just off first blush, I may change my mind by Friday on the odds couple. I may make it a service pick on Vegas Scores and Odds. But I'll tell you, off the top of my head, I refuse to believe that the Buffalo Bills are going to come in there and beat them. I do.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to pick the Bills to win anytime just because I carry that Buffalo Bills luggage of decades of them just not getting it done. You talk about a fan base that is more miserable than the Chicago Bears.
They jump in the tables.
Yes.
They jump off trucks into tables and then go to the hospital. What are you doing? What is wrong with these people?
I
watch when they're tailgating. Look, I hung out with some of the toughest hombres who ever lived, but never once. I could have had 50 beers in me, 5 shots of blackberry brandy. I could have done maybe 4 shots of Jameson. I'm not going to say let's get on top of the van and jump onto a card table.
That's so true.
I would rather. I mean, seriously, if you tell me, Mike, I know you're a little inebriated. Would you rather try to dodge cars on Lakeshore Drive? Or would you rather jump onto a hardcore table from 15 feet up? I'm going to try to dodge the traffic.
There you go.
I'm not jumping onto it. They showed a guy on Twitter the other day. He jumped on. It looked like he smashed his you-know-what. And he hurt his, and it looks like he's going to need hip surgery.
Oh my
For
God.
what?
That's because they are so frustrated with their team losing that they are purposely hurting themselves to deal with the emotional pain. They want physical pain to hide that. That's what a psychiatrist would say.
Listen, when I got drafted, I was at Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Oh, my God.
And I ended up, it was so hot. It was July. We were miserable. We were about 4 months out of basic from maybe going to war. Who knows what was going to happen. And there was a buddy of mine named Paul Rittman. I'll never forget him. One of the funniest men I have ever met. And that was the fun part about being in the Army, meeting guys from all over, the country, from Alabama to New York to, Chicago, you name it. This guy was from Buffalo. I said, you're a funny guy, but I says, what's there to do in Buffalo? He goes, there's nothing to do. He goes, on top of that, the sky's yellow. And then he walked away. I mean, that's the way he described Buffalo to me. There's nothing to do. I mean, when you're known for chicken wings and jumping on the tables, what is your form of entertainment? It's the Buffalo Bills. That's it.
That is it. I have been to Buffalo, and I can tell you there is nothing to do.
What's the nightlife like?
Nothing.
And they're the stars because they're the only pro. Well, no, you have the Buffalo Sabres. You used to have the Buffalo Braves. But you know what? In the NBA, which I thought was cool with Ernie DiGregorio and Bob McAdoo.
Yeah.
I mean, but they're the movie stars in that town. If there's a Buffalo Bill at a bar somewhere, drunk, it's going to be on. They got to watch themselves in that town.
There you go. Now, Mike, to conclude the show, I want to take us to a different topic. We've for the last hour, we've talked NFL, great information for the bettors out there. You got 3 free picks. But for these last few minutes, Greg Braggs, who is
My guy!
a rising star here at Bears Barroom, he has confessed that he has not seen some great Christmas classic movies. For instance, Christmas
Well, that's because he's always like waiting by the gate for the Bear training camp to open.
That's
He's
right.
waiting. He's already at Soldier Field. When's the next home game?
It's Sunday night. He's already
Yeah,
there.
he's there already.
That is right. He doesn't have time.
He's a good guy, man. He's a
great
good guy.
guy.
And he works hard.
He's a great guy, but he hasn't seen movies like Christmas Vacation. So I want Mike North, who is a movie aficionado. Nobody knows movies better than Mike North. One of the things that Greg says that he doesn't like watching the old movies. Zach Sullivan last night told him, "You've got to watch It's a Wonderful Life." Greg Braggs has never seen It's a Wonderful Life because it's in black and white. So
I know an Italian guy that said he never has seen The Godfather. I never trusted him again. That's all I'm going to tell you.
That's right.
Can you imagine in this day and age saying you never saw The Godfather?
That's right.
And you're Italian? I go, wait a minute. You never saw The Godfather, but you're Italian. Look, I could see a Puerto Rican saying it, an Irishman, any kind of other minority, or a Czechoslovakian, black, you name it. Okay, that's fine. I'm Italian. I never saw The Godfather.
Yeah, that's like me. I'm a Puerto Rican. That's like me saying I never stole a help cap. That's
it's
just
like you saying you never saw Carlito's Way.
There you go, Al Pacino, Carlito's Way.
I still don't know. What was he in that movie?
I think he was Puerto Rican, Carlito.
Was he Italian? Was he Puerto Rican? What was Sean Penn? What the hell? With the Art Garfunkel look,
That's right. All right, so give me 3 movies that I'm going to put on Greg Braggs' list. And maybe I'll even run out and get him a DVD of one of these movies
all right,
for
first
Christmas.
of all, everybody talks about he's seen Die Hard, hasn't he?
Oh, I think that he has. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, that's sort of like people argue about that being a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I don't think it is, Mike.
All right, let me ask you this. I saw The Green Door last night. Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
Okay, there's Christmas in it. And they're trying to get back before Christmas, so people might start inserting that. But for people that haven't seen The Green Door, it's on now on Showtime. It's fantastic. Check it out.
Okay.
Anyway, It's a Wonderful Life's at the top of the list.
You have to watch that. You have to.
Yeah, you're a communist. Tell Greg he's a communist and he's going to have his papers taken from him. No. If you got Jimmy Stewart, you got Ward Bond, you got the beautiful Donna Reed, you got
great.
Lionel Barrymore, who I used to call, who's Potter, I used to call Bill Wirtz that. He hated that name,
right.
Potter.
Right.
When he owned the Blackhawks, but that's what I got it from. So I'd say It's a Wonderful Life is number 1.
Yes.
I think Miracle on 34th Street with Maureen O'Hara and Edmund Gwenn
and
young, John Payne.
And a very young Natalie Wood.
Take it easy. She was too little.
No, I'm just saying.
I don't need you go. And wait, I go, John Payne, Maureen, and then you go, and a very young Natalie Wood.
Did I sound like that?
What do you take it easy. I got to tell you so. I saw her in The Great Race the other night with Tony Curtis. She was unbelievably beautiful.
Yeah, she was a gorgeous woman. Gorgeous.
She was unbelievable. So we got Miracle on 34th Street, number 2. We got It's a Wonderful Life, number 1. I know BB's driving somewhere screaming, why don't you name this one? Why don't you name that? But we're looking for black and white ones or just, I'll tell you what, Home Alone is a classic at 1990.
Yeah.
With Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
I like that. The one I can't stand is the one naturally that the public likes, Christmas Story. I can't stand it.
Really?
I think Home Alone's better. I do.
Okay.
Do you think Home Alone's better than Christmas Story?
I would say they're about even for me. I like Christmas Story a little more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I split. I tried watching. I'm a big Darren McGavin guy.
Oh yeah.
It just didn't hit home with me. Maybe I have to rewatch it again. But those would be my 3. I hope Greg has seen Home Alone.
Well, if he hasn't, we're going to have to beat him up. That's the only thing that
I think we're going to need some help.
Yes.
That guy works up a lather quick. I don't want no part of him.
Shake his hands when you meet him. This guy's a bricklayer. He's got hands like bricks.
Yeah. I'm not beating any bricklayer up, okay? I'll help him with his job. I'll do the wheelbarrow with him, anything he wants.
All right, it is time to say goodbye, but Mike, tell people about Vegas Scores and Odds.
One of our funnier shows today. We were all over the place, which are the best shows.
Yeah, really.
Don't forget the 3 wins for you tonight. One's New Jersey Devils over tonight, and then Friday Buffalo under and Buffalo. Those are both in college. So check them out. Tonight I also have the Tennessee-Cincinnati game up at VegasScoresandOdds.com. And check us out. Follow at VSAO Sports. By the way, I'm thrilled with that. We're getting close to 700. But in the meantime, the Bears Barroom, follow at Bears Barroom. We're up to 10-2 now.
10,200 followers on Twitter. Amazing.
Can you believe that? I mean, it's really started to pick up. I know it's football season, but people are latching on to all the great shows that are on there that Aldo and the Bears Barroom people do. Everybody does a tremendous job. Everybody takes care of everybody. It's a community. There's disagreements, but let me tell you, there's also hilarity, a lot of fun. We're getting close to how many shows we done, Aldo? About 94, 95?
We are at 94. This one is 94.
Wow.
Yeah,
unbelievable. The over-under was 62. But you know what? I got a feeling I'm here for a long time. I love the Bears Bar. I love Bears Bar. And speaking of that, we got some commercials to do, national commercials for all the games. So, Aldo, great job as always. Love you, brother.
Love you too. Hey, everyone listening, remember, we got Bears 100 Proof tonight. More programming over the next 2 weeks. Follow us at Bears Barroom for details because we're moving things around because of the holidays. So,
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone. All right.